My know-it-all fiance corrected everyone like he was the smartest person alive and ruined my sister's marriage through his 10-minute speech. So I let him give a speech to actual experts. I got engaged to Brett 2 years ago, and for the first year, everything seemed perfect. He was a software developer who read constantly and could talk about literally any topic. I loved how smart he was, loved our late-night debates about movies and books. He'd explain things in ways that made complex stuff simple, and I thought I was so lucky to have someone that intelligent want to marry me. My friend said he was the whole package. Good job, nice apartment, always remembered birthdays. We were planning this beautiful wedding for next spring, and I'd already bought my dress. Then Brett started this thing where he'd correct people constantly. It started small, like fixing someone's grammar mid-sentence or explaining why their opinion about a movie was actually wrong. Then it got worse. My friend Haley mentioned she was tired from her nursing shift, and Brett spent 20 minutes explaining how she wasn't managing her sleep schedule correctly, like she hadn't been a nurse for 8 years. My brother talked about his construction project, and Brett interrupted to explain load-bearing walls to a guy who literally builds houses. At my dad's birthday dinner, Brett told my mom her lasagna recipe was inefficient and showed her a better way to layer it. She'd been making that lasagna for 30 years. Everyone started avoiding us. My sister Nina was getting married and specifically asked me not to bring Brett to any planning events. She said he made her wedding planner cry by explaining why the flower arrangements were mathematically unbalanced. I promised he'd behave at the actual wedding. The wedding day came, and Brett immediately started telling the photographer about proper lighting angles. He explained to the minister why the ceremony order was historically inaccurate. During cocktail hour, he corrected the bartender about wine pairings and told 3 different relatives why their career choices were statistically poor decisions. Nina was ready to kill him but stayed calm for her day. Then came dinner. Brett stood up to give an impromptu speech about marriage statistics and why most relationships fail due to poor communication strategies. He used Nina and her husband as examples of what not to do, listing their potential problem areas based on their personality types. The whole room just stared while he talked for 10 minutes about divorce predictors. Nina's new husband looked ready to punch him. That's when I got an idea. I started clapping and said Brett should definitely share more of his wisdom. I suggested he give another speech at the after party since everyone needed to hear his insights. Brett's eyes lit up. He actually believed people wanted to hear more. What he didn't know was that Nina's husband's family were all college professors. His uncle taught sociology at Yale. His aunt was a relationship psychologist who'd written 12 books. His mother ran a marriage counseling practice for 30 years. At the after party, I loudly announced that Brett had some fascinating thoughts about relationships to share with everyone. I made sure all the professors were in the front row. Brett started his speech about how modern psychology gets relationships wrong. The Yale professor just smiled. Brett explained why marriage counseling doesn't work. The counselor took notes. Brett quoted statistics incorrectly. The sociology professor raised his hand. What followed was 45 minutes of actual experts politely destroying every single thing Brett said. They asked for his sources. He made up journal names. They corrected his statistics with actual data. They explained why his theories were disproven in the 1980s. Brett kept trying to argue, but each time he opened his mouth, another professor would kindly explain why he was wrong, using words Brett didn't even understand. The best part was when Nina's mother-in-law asked Brett about his qualifications to speak on marriage psychology. He admitted he had none, but said he'd read several blog posts. She asked which peer-reviewed journals he preferred. He said he didn't need journals because common sense was better than academic research. The whole room laughed. Full story on channel. Link below.